You have to go through your season of discomfort in order for you to become the best version of yourself. These are the harsh truths when it comes to your healing journey. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then it's not in line, which means it is not for you. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to go over and discuss why you have to go through your season of discomfort, as well as what to do when you're going through the process, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So with that being said, for the month of April, we're breaking down within 30 days the harsh realities, the harsh truths that nobody's going to tell you. So for today's video, starting with the introduction, in order for you to make it to the other side of whatever it is that you want to do or whoever it is you're meant to be, you have to have gone through certain things. You cannot avoid the trials and tribulations that you're meant to experience, because those trials and tribulations are what is going to guide you, is what is going to mold you and allow you to have the wisdom, to have the discernment, and to be qualified to experience the things that you want. The only reason why it is quote unquote hard or difficult or challenging is because you've never had to face your fears. Maybe you did not have support or community or people pouring into you to where you believe yourself, or lastly, because you are afraid to see who you're meant to be. The only reason why people have fears to elevate is because a lot of times they were not given the resources and the tools and the guidance and the wisdom and the finances, or because they don't believe in themselves. Once you have the resources, once you have the tools, once you believe in yourself, you're going to allow yourself to go through the opportunities and experiences that you're meant to go through, and it becomes lighter. So the second disclaimer is knowing that if you did not have certain resources, if you didn't have certain access to certain things as a child, or even up to now when you started to watch this video, that it is okay. And the reason why it is okay is because you made choices based off of what you knew, based off of what you were taught, based off of what you were shown. So regardless if it was negative or positive, right or wrong, you did what you did in your past, and the past no longer exists. The only reason why people have been diagnosed with all these labels and these attachments and have anxiety and are depressed and are bipolar and schizophrenic is because of the amount of trauma and dysfunction that people have gone through. And unfortunately, people have normalized it. It's not normal. It's not normal. There's a lot of corruption and confusion and disruption and chaos and wickedness in the world. But in order for the world to shift or change, or for people to no longer think the way they think and behave in the behaviors like such, you have to work on yourself. Like, you can't be worried about what everybody else is doing at the end of the day if they're not contributing into you, they're not pouring into you, or they're not helping you. You have to realize that, unfortunately, in order for you to break generational cycles, you did grow up, let's just say, in poverty. You did grow up around people that were abusive. You did grow up around people who were narcissistic. You did grow up around people who were greedy. You did grow up around whoever you grew up around. Like, you know your situation. You have to realize that you did what you did in order for you to get by. Because don't you think if you knew better, don't you think if you were, like I said, given the resources and opportunity and the confidence, you would be able to thrive? Because in this world, you do have people that are thriving, who have never struggled, who have always been fortunate and always been privileged. And then you have a lot of people in this world who suffer their entire lives, or suffer majority of their life. Just because you grew up in either or doesn't mean that you have to stay there. And that's the third disclaimer. You have to know, or the fourth, I lost count. You have to know that just because you have a past, just because you went through certain things in your life, doesn't mean that you have to stay there. In order for you, like I said, to overcome the poverty that you experienced as a child, or the molestation, or the abuse, or the abandonment, or neglected, or whatever it was, you have to allow yourself to feel. You have to grieve. You have to be okay with putting in the work. If things are not handed to you in life, you have to work for them. And that's the fourth disclaimer. Like, you have to choose to become the best version of yourself despite of all your trials and tribulations. And this doesn't mean that your feelings are not valid. This doesn't mean that you growing up in poverty didn't affect you. Like, this doesn't mean that you worrying about the lights and water and the cable running didn't affect you. This doesn't mean that you having to work 2 to 3 jobs was in vain. This doesn't mean that you deserve people touching on you or people bullying you or people gossiping. Nobody deserves to be traumatized, but unfortunately, like I said, that's going to continue to go on until people separate themselves and realize enough is enough. Like, just because I had to go through certain things in my life, especially when you know who you are, or maybe you realize that you're not like everybody else, and I'm speaking from my experience, like, you didn't deserve that. Like, nobody deserves that. The only reason why people continue to do wrong by certain people, places, and things is because a lot of people don't care because they've suffered for so long, or a lot of people, they're just, like I said, greedy and all those other sins and etc. But speaking from experience, what has helped me along my healing journey was to realize that for me, I've always been blessed and I've always been very fortunate, and I'm also an Afro-Indigenous woman, so I know my history, I know my history, I know where I come from. So I've never allowed, like I said, things that were quote unquote in the 3D or outside of me to make me feel some type of way, because I knew it was not my energy. But had I not would have known that about myself, I wouldn't be able to make these videos and let you know, like, everybody's not a bad person and life doesn't always have to be bad. And it's important that as you're going through certain things that you are figuring out who you are realizing certain things about yourself. Like, when you know certain things about yourself, how other people perceive you doesn't matter. What people say about you, negative or false, doesn't matter. This is why when I went through certain things in my life, 1, I was not going to hold a grudge. And 2, once again, I'm not allowing people who don't know me to make me feel some type of way, because that's what people want. Like, evil, narcissistic, greedy, lustful, sinful people, they don't know who they are. They're lost. They don't have faith. They don't have confidence. And I'm not here to force religion or spirituality. Take what resonates, leave the rest, because everybody has free will. But they are naive. They're ignorant. And it's because of their family members, their environments, their communities. They continue to stay the same. You don't have to continue to stay the same just because you suffered, just because you went through certain things. Camera got cut off. My camera got cut off, you guys. I refuse, like I said, to allow certain people, places, and things who knew nothing about me to judge me or talk badly about me. Like, certain people, they meet you at a certain point of your life. Just because you meet somebody doesn't mean you know them. Like, most people, if not all people, 99% of the time, they don't know you. Even people that you're related to, just because you grew up in a household with somebody, and I'm speaking from experience, doesn't mean that they get the time to spend with you. Just because you went to school with people doesn't mean you know everything about people. Just because you work with people, even people you date, when you meet people, you're meeting them at a certain point. So for example, when you're in school, a lot of kids, depending on where you live in primary school, you meet people at 5 or 6, meaning you've already lived life. You've learned certain things at 5 or 6. When you meet people at work, like most people start working at 13, 14, 15, 16. You met them at 13, 14, 15, 16, which means you've lived life. You've experienced things. People don't know people. You shouldn't allow certain people and places and things who did not go through what you went through to make you feel bad about what you had to go through and how you handle things, especially when they didn't go through it themselves. So it's like, before I give you the recommendations, be okay with knowing that you went through the things that you went through, and not being embarrassed or ashamed. There are a lot of people who grew up in poverty. There are a lot of people who've been touched on inappropriately. There are a lot of people who grew up in dysfunctional households. There are a lot of people who grew up around people who are greedy and envious. Like, unfortunately, it has been normalized. It's common, but it's not normal. It is not. And over here, as your favorite mental health specialist, who is a naturopathic physician, we're here to motivate, inform, and educate. We only talk about positivity, healing, and peace and abundance. If that doesn't resonate with you, send and share this video to somebody who does. But it's just like, you have to understand that just because, unfortunately, you went through traumatic situations doesn't mean that has to be your entire life. Because what happens is, if you don't take the time to heal yourself, or you don't see a psychiatrist, you don't go to therapy, you don't go to God, ancestors, and universe, you will become bitter. You will become miserable. You do become envious. This is why people rob and steal and do a whole bunch of evil stuff. This is why people kidnap people. This is why people do a lot of the things that they do. And once again, I'm not here to, afraid to be afraid of anybody, and I'm here to say what needs to be said, because like I said, these are the harsh truths. So like, if you don't like being told the truth, if you don't like being accountable, send and share this video to somebody who is, because at the end of the day, energy speaks for itself. And like I said, as an Afro-Indigenous woman, the materials in this 3D stuff does not faze me. I know I'm water in the spirit, in their spirits, and all that good stuff. Okay, so now when it comes to the recommendations, when you're going through things and you're having to self-reflect, you have to allow yourself to grieve. You're constantly going to have ego deaths. You're constantly going to have dark nights of the soul. You're constantly going to go through life, which means you're constantly going to evolve. So like I said, how you used to think at 5 may not be the same as how you used to think at 10. It's not going to be the same how you think at 20, 30, 40, 50 if you're putting in the work. My content is for people who want to see results. My content is for mature, grown adults, regardless if you're a woman, a man, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, a gay, a they, a she, LGBTQ2, 1, 2, 3. Like, at the end of the day is going to come to an end. You don't know how long you're going to live on this earth. This account is for people who are serious. If you're not serious, oh well. You want to talk about people, okay, you're not doing nothing, you're not important, and you won't be able to get far in life. Nobody has time for that. That's how you do that. If you want to take your life seriously and you want to see results, because this is a result account, then you're going to take your notes, you're going to take your pen and your paper, and yeah, you're going to do what you need to do. You're going to have to realize that you didn't know any better. If you knew better, you do better. You're going to have to realize you did witness certain things. You're going to have to allow yourself to feel. And that's the second recommendation. Be angry, be sad until you go to a therapist, or until you go to a psychiatrist, or until you book your service in your session. You are going to feel some type of way. You've been traumatized. This is why doctors, all TLC, especially in the Western society, give people medicine or say, oh, you have autism, or you're schizophrenic, or you have ADHD. It's because a lot of times people are traumatized. It's because a lot of times people want to control you. It's because they're trying to make millions of trillions of dollars. You don't need to sit here and allow other people to tell you who you are just because you went through certain things in your life. Don't allow people to label you or enable you, because once somebody tells you something about yourself, and if you don't challenge that information, or if you don't see that it's not always true, just because somebody tells you something doesn't always mean it's true, you will shrink yourself. You will not be able to push past certain limitations. And I just made a video talking about that in March. You have to be okay with letting go of limited beliefs that no longer serve you. But in order for you to do that, you're going to have to accept that you went through certain things. You were traumatized, because that's what it is. People are just traumatized, overly traumatized. People are so desensitized when it comes to the world, because unfortunately there are people who are, like I said, malicious, dark, and evil, and corrupt. And that's what they want to be. But we're not here to focus on that. We do have to acknowledge that, because it exists for some people. But once you decide that you don't want to resonate with that energy, you don't want to focus on that, it's very much flip the switch. It's very much pick a side. And over here, we're here to be love and light and to be abundant, because that's our birthright. We don't need to struggle. We don't need to suffer once we realize and once we become aware, because that's what's going to happen. Like I said, you're going to have dark nights of the souls, or a spiritual awakening, or whatever people want to say. You're constantly going to go through that, because you're constantly evolving. We're here to evolve in life, and things are not going to be the same. And that's going to be the first video, if you haven't caught up, for the month of April, how we're starting off the harsh truths. So the fourth disclaimer is that when you're learning to be angry, and you're learning to be sad, and you're realizing what you went through, and you're grieving, and you're talking, and you're being vulnerable, and like I said, you're getting the assistance, you're taking the notes, you're watching all the videos, you have to process what has happened to you. The only reason why so many people have swept their problems underneath the rug is because they have not sat with themselves, or maybe you didn't grow up in a household where you were able to be vulnerable and articulate yourself. You have to know that this is a safe space. I'm not telling you to come on here and tell all your business, or that you have to do what I'm doing, but you need to know, if you don't trust anybody in the world, you should be able to trust yourself. If you don't believe in like God, ancestors, the universe, or me. This is why I make this account. I don't make this account for myself, and I'm not making this account just to hear me speak. This is why I tell you guys, all I'm asking is that you like, comment, and engage. If that is too much for you, send and share this video to somebody who needs to see it, because it's important. It is very important. Everybody else, I don't know what to tell you. It's not hard. If you want people to do things for you, and that's going to be a difference within itself, you have to give out that energy. You have to know that you becoming the best version of yourself is for you. And if you want to, it's possible. You can't limit yourself to certain things that no longer resonate with you. So the fourth disclaimer, when you're learning to be angry, when you're learning to be sad, when you're learning to process what has happened to you, is to acknowledge how it makes you feel. I have over 1,000 videos, you guys, about specific topics and specific things. When you're going through your trials and tribulations and you're healing yourself and you're having to be vulnerable, you're going to go through withdrawals. Like some days you're going to feel mad, some days you're going to feel sad. You need to talk about why it's making you feel the way you feel and acknowledge it. And like I stated, because I've already made it over 1,000 videos on specific topics, watch them. So whatever you're going through, like I said, if you don't want to put it in the comment section, make sure you book your service in your session. If not, watch the other videos and figure out what it is that you went through, so therefore you can know like how to move forward. Because at the end of the day, if you don't move forward, you're gonna feel stuck and stagnant. And this is why a lot of people have PTSD. And if you guys see me look at here, I have notifications. If not, I'm just trying to make sure I'm going off of the notes that I have, because I don't want to make this video too much longer. But those are the harsh truths. Like, in order for you to overcome trials and tribulations, like, you have to go through it. Like, you have to grieve. And speaking from experience, you're going to feel some type of way. That's how you know you're elevating. That's how you know you're evolving. You don't want to tolerate the things you used to tolerate. You don't want to allow certain people and places and things. Let's just say you did care about people talking about you. You're not going to allow people. Like me personally, like I said, my entire life, I've been very fortunate to where I never had to allow people to make me feel some type of way. But now, obviously, as you guys can see, as I get older, I definitely, at my big age, am not dealing with it. If I didn't deal with it 10 years ago and I was 19, why would I deal with it now? And I'm about to be in my 30s. Like, if I didn't deal with it at the age of 9, why would I deal with it now, 20 years later? As you grow, you're allowed to make decisions for yourself. My content on this account is not for everybody. I'm not for everybody, and I don't want to be for everybody, because everybody can't be for me, okay? And you have to realize that when you're going through certain things, you're going to realize who's for you and who's not. And once people show you that they're not for you, leave them alone. Leave them alone. The longer you surround yourself with people and places and things that are not for you, the longer you're going to suffer. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, let me know. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. All the information is down in the description box below. Book your service in your session. If you're ready, drop the word website. And when you guys follow me on... Oh, you guys heard that? When you guys follow me on this account, also follow me on my Instagram and on my TikTok, because that's where I'll be going live answering you guys' questions, okay? But yeah, you can overcome your trials and tribulations. You don't have to be stuck and stagnant. We don't have to be poor or upset or depressed or have anxiety for the rest of our lives. We just have to do the work. We have to talk about how we feel. And you need to watch all the other videos, because at this point, I'm just letting you know the harsh truth, so therefore you can be on the other side, okay? Love you, bye.